Kenyan women must have a backache because of carrying the Kenyan economy on their back. Really, what must you do to shift fortunes for people, to create shared prosperity? It's either in education or unemployment. One of the biggest drivers of GDP, be it agriculture, be it hospitality, be it the informal sector, you'll find that women are the biggest participants. If you lend to a woman-owned businesses, chances are significantly high, or she's going to pay you back.
People who are affected most by climate change are the people who least contribute to it.
That's a fact. If you don't involve the very people who are most impacted, the solutions you come up with are not necessarily targeted or aimed at resolving how these people are deeply impacted. Corporate foundations really have to move away from reputational CSR and move into social impact, however that is defined.
Many programs come, they sound good, and then they go. So do you think the model is working? Michelle Obama once said, "Success isn't about how much money you make, it's about the difference you make in people's lives." But here's the thing, when it comes to foundations, especially corporate ones, many people are still asking, does this really matter, or is it just another arm of the brand? And to be honest, that's a fair question. And it's one that I've asked myself so many times, but here are my thoughts. Real impact, the kind that transforms communities, shifts economies, and also rewrites futures, is often quiet, slow, and intentional. This is Hawe, and I am your host, Terry Mwekamba Getonga. And on this episode, we meet a woman who has made it her life's work to prove that change is not just possible, but it's scalable. Mendi Njonjo has spent over 20 years working at the intersection of gender, climate, youth, empowerment, and finance. And I'm so excited to speak to her because, honestly, I find her quite fascinating. She has led regional programs across Africa, built big, bold social justice frameworks, and right now, she's the director of the KCB Foundation. She's designing systems that build jobs, grow MSMEs, and also expand access to finance, especially for women and young people. This is a story of a woman doing it her way. Mendi, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm really glad to be here.
It's so good to see you again. I met you last year. There was a program that Agritech, and I had the honor of introducing you. And before that, I'd obviously read so much about you, and I was just blown away by the work you're doing. Now, before we get into the meat of the conversation, you've had so many jobs. I've seen your profile. You've achieved so much. But I'm curious to know, what is that one thing that or job you feel you'd be terrible at?
First, thank you for the kind introduction. And it's certainly a pleasure to reconnect with you again.
Yes.
So the one job that I would perhaps never, ever have, because I would honestly be terrible at it, is anything that involves heights. If I was to be a Sherpa or an alpine climber, or those people who go up there and clean windows up high, I would be terrible at that job.
You're terrified of heights?
I don't like heights.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. So that's the one job categorically. Yeah, perhaps not.
You don't like the views from above?
I don't like the views from above. It's also very, very up there.
Yeah, true.
Yes, so.
Okay, that's good to know. In the next season of Hawe podcast, we're not going to do it anywhere high. But Mendi, I want to start with something very honest. A lot of people think that foundations are just the PR arm of a brand. And I want to know what you feel about that.
So it's a fair question because what you're talking about is what we call reputational CSR, which is when you do corporate social responsibility, and it's really aimed at just burnishing your, can I say, your reputation, just trying to get you some bonga points with your audience. But if you look at the substance of what it is that you're doing, you rarely tilt, be it social impact or social justice or some sort of, social advancement for your population. And does it have its place? Sure. But if you look at the entities that are driving change, either visibly or not visibly, because I really liked your introduction. Corporate foundations really have to move away from reputational CSR and move into social impact, however that is defined.
So sort of corporate citizenship.
Absolutely. It has to be corporate citizenship that really speaks towards, like in the case of KCB Foundation, what you want to see is shared prosperity. So some corporate foundations, maybe they want to do environmental justice or they want to do some sort of environmental advancement. So really trying to see what can you do as a corporate foundation to advance that work, because you're spending the money after all.
Yeah.
You might as well do it in things that provide some sort of legacy or long-term change.
And so I want to know what you're doing at the KCB Foundation to move away from just performance to real impact. Yeah.
So that's a really good question. Yeah. So one of the things that I'm really glad that I have this job is because it was made abundantly clear that for KCB Foundation, we cannot be about, just get a nice headline, let people talk about you.
Yeah.
What we really need to do as KCB Foundation is to really shift fortunes for the communities that either the KCB group banks or has an interest in. And for us, we decided to do it in the two ways that if you're going to ask anyone, what must you do to shift fortunes for people, to create shared prosperity? It's either in education or in employment. Those are the two things that either open up opportunities or, unfortunately, if that door is closed, prevent people from accessing almost the full slew of rights that are really supposed to come to them.
And you have a fantastic program called Tujiajiri. Yes. We're going to be talking about that in just a few. But I want to take you a bit back because, I've seen your profile and you've worked in all these organizations, philanthropy. Did you grow up thinking this is what I want to do? At what point did you think this is where I want to work?
So I did grow up knowing I wanted to do something in the space of, can I say, in the people space? Various dreams come your way, depending, of course, on your age. When you're young, you watch a movie about firefighters and you're like,
that's what I want.
Mazima moto, is that what we used to call it? I may be dating myself when I say that.
Yeah.
And then when I was on or around campus going age, just before that, I was pretty certain I wanted to be a doctor. But I think my home environment really shaped me because my dad was big in the Kenya Red Cross in terms of the work that he did, right? And my mom has also been very big in terms of just making her support for the community a very central part of her life. And that really also advised some of the orientation that I had. So even though I did math and geography in campus, by the end of it, I was very certain that I really wanted to go into some sort of humanitarian space. So I have been shaped a lot by, can I say, my immediate family history? And just looking at what happens and has been happening in Kenya, in the region, it became clear to me that, I felt called to do something in this space.
It's interesting how we are shaped by the people around us, even without knowing. Just seeing what they do. My dad used to work for the judiciary. And I used to go to his offices, and I would see people sometimes in wigs, and I was like, yes, that's what I want to do. And, fortunately or unfortunately, I went to law school. I'm not practicing, but I've been having a lot of moments and I'm thinking, wow, that's where it came from. Like people around you really have a lot in shaping who you become. Now, Mendi, that you're here, you're in the room, you're shaping policy. And I want to talk about the pillars of your work. And I want to start with finance. As a tool for change. Yeah, especially for women. So what role do you believe women play when it comes to, they're not just borrowers, but also economic builders?
That is the truest statement that has been made in a very long time. If you look at, let me just pan down just to Kenya. One of the biggest drivers of GDP be it agriculture, be it hospitality, be it the informal sector, you'll find that women are the biggest participants in these sectors. A joke that I make is that Kenyan women must have a backache because of carrying the Kenyan economy on their back. Really.
Yeah, we're always supporting our backs with a pillow.
Yes.
Yes.
It's because they do the heavy lifting.
That's true.
And without women, even if you look at the space of entrepreneurship, in sub-Saharan Africa, women are the largest by percentage number of people who are starting enterprises, nano-enterprises, micro-enterprises. And the Kenyan economy is also largely driven by MSMEs, nano and MSMEs. Same thing with agriculture. So women play a very pivotal role in terms of the economy. And the work that perhaps has to be done is to make sure that the inputs, the contributions that they put in, that what they're also being able to get out in terms of, be it the financing they require to grow their jobs, or be it the other inputs that they require to be able to participate fully in the economy. I think that's where the work has to be, because we are playing a very critical part. But perhaps the system is not as even-handed with women as it could be.
Yes. And I want to talk about that for a few minutes. Yes, women play a very critical role in the economy. Yet we still face some very serious systemic barriers when it comes to like access to money. So what do you think should be done? How are you, even at your work, how are you trying to break those systemic barriers that prevent women from accessing money?
So if I start thinking of some of the systemic barriers that women face, I think one of the biggest, they call it soft, but it's not really soft. So social cultural norms.
Right.
Yeah. So what is the relationship between the things that you really need to be able to access credit and the attitudes, the behaviors that people have towards women being able to have these inputs? And to clarify that, for instance, if you really want to advance your business, there's some things you need, like maybe collateral, be it land, be it property. And this is where that soft, in very big quotes, part comes in. Because you find if we are not being able to have access to this things, then the ability to leverage on that to be able to access finance plays a very big part. So there's also work that has needed to be done there. And then beyond that, more practically, more kind of like immediate, you also find things like, can I say time poverty? Time poverty is real for women. So you'll find that there is this statement that was going around, which was very, I love Beyonce, but it was very insidious, which was saying that you have 24 hours a day, just like Beyonce. That's not true. Because your 24 hours are not Beyonce's 24 hours. A woman's 24 hours are not her brother's 24 hours. A woman with a child, her 24 hours are not the same as the 24 hours for her husband or her partner with same child. Because time poverty, in terms of this domestic care burden, that really takes a really big draw on women's ability to, quote unquote, enter the productive, to come up with, to have productive time, is something that is greatly impacting women's ability to also participate in the economy. So there are these two big things that exist in this space. And then now beyond that are now the other things that we also need in terms of, if I have a business as a woman and I want to access credit, so are there products that really speak, so financial products that really speak towards what it is that I need to do? There are also other things in terms of, for me as a woman, in terms of, do I have the required financial literacy? What is my relationship with money? We have a very complicated relationship with money.
We do.
Right? So there are all of these things that all come together. And sometimes it is a very complicated cocktail of events that almost invariably mitigate against women. So you find what we call the gender finance gap, which is how much money do women businesses need and how much money is flowing to them. It's currently, it's a significant, it's hundreds and billions of dollars just on the continent, trillions across the world. And the story is that if we shifted that and money actually moved to women-owned businesses, we would be able to increase GDP by, in some instances, by 30%. Yeah. So that's the biggest opportunity as well as tragedy in terms of women not being able to access finance.
Yeah. And, I guess to add on to that, one of the things that I also find very interesting is the fact that most women who get into business, they get into the service industry. So say, for example, I'm providing a service and I go to the bank to ask for a loan. So there's almost nothing I can give as collateral. Like, oh, you can have this because it's a service. This is what I'm giving you, So, and I guess having women who are helping create the solutions for women also helps. And that's why we are so happy to profile the women running finance, because now I feel that women are heard, they're represented.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about Tujiajiri. Yes. It's the cornerstone of the foundation. Absolutely love what it stands for, but probably we have someone who might not know what Tujiajiri is about. We can talk about that. Yeah.
So Tujiajiri is the flagship program of the KCB Foundation.
Right.
And what we want to do is, it's the adult-facing part of our work. And what we wanted to do was to see how do we create opportunities for especially young adults, women, and other populations who we wanted to provide more financial inclusion for. And we do it through two ways. One is through workforce development. Because one of the things we're very clear about is that every year, just in Kenya, about 1 million people will enter the workforce. About 800,000 of them will not get jobs. So just 800,000 Kenyans annually entering the workforce will not get jobs. Yeah. Now, let me add another fact to that story. If you speak to employers, they will tell you, Federation of Kenya Employers they produce these reports every so often. And they say of the workforce that is entering the workforce, we would love to give them jobs, but we have limited absorption capability because they are not necessarily ready to be able to be employed. They need some sort of panel beating. Yeah. And the formal market is only able to employ a limited number of people, so about 200,000, give or take. Yeah. So the rest are going to be either self-employed, or they're going to start their own businesses, or they're going to look for employment in primarily small enterprises. So our workforce wing, what we try and do is to make sure that of the people who are entering the workforce, that we are really giving them that workforce readiness so that they can either be employed, start a job, or become employers themselves. So that's a critical part of our job, and it's aimed at addressing that gap. The other part of our work is aimed at also trying to redress what it is that we've seen in terms of how the market plays out. We have all of these MSMEs around 2 years. They go into debt spiral and they'll go down. And unfortunately, they go down with family savings. They'll go down with people have really put in everything to hit the 2-year mark. But unfortunately, because of a complex set of circumstances, some of it is business readiness. You weren't able to get the required licenses. You weren't able to get the required certifications. Some of it is own entrepreneurial readiness in terms of the financial literacy, being able to keep a set of books. Yes. So we also work on that part so that we work with a significant number of MSMEs to make sure they are also investor ready, they are also credit worthy, they are also strong and resilient and able to try and just become, number one, more sustainable. And then for us, the goal we try and reach for is, can we also grow and scale these businesses? So we do those two things, workforce readiness and MSME preparedness. And ultimately what we want to see is a significant number of people being able to participate in the job market fully, right? Decent jobs, decent incomes, strong and vibrant economies. For us, that's the North Star that we're reaching for with Tujiajiri. Yeah.
Do you think the model is working right now? Because we've seen many programs come, they sound good and then they go. So do you think the model is working?
We think so. And I'll tell you why we think so. Because if you look at our workforce readiness program, so we primarily do this through scholarship provision. Every year, we provide about maybe 15,000 scholarships. So it's one of the largest TVET, vocational training scholarships program in the country, maybe outside government.
Yeah.
And what we are finding is that the people who get these scholarships attend in terms of being able to get the skill sets that they need to do those three things, be employed, start a job, or look for employment. We are finding that they are getting the required skill sets to be able to do those three things.
Yeah.
Further, because of the partnerships we've entered, either with training partner institutions or sometimes with county governments, the biggest thing that we've been trying to resolve is there are a lot of people who are being trained. There's not enough people who are getting placement in employment. So what I like about Tujiajiri is that we've tried to see how do we crack that. So there's a lot of bloat in this training part, but how do you transition young people into employment? So I think we're getting quite a bit of traction on that. So higher and higher what we call placement rates. So training, we've placed you in some sort of employment or some internship or attachment.
Yes.
And our MSMEs, I think that one is also working because if you look at some of the metrics of success, are you able to go to a bank and access capital?
Yes.
So short answer is yes. So we think the interventions are working. We, of course, iterate daily. Well, maybe not daily, but we iterate often just to try and make sure that what we are learning, because not everything works, right? But the important thing is you learn from this, you change it, and then you make sure that the next version of your program is actually learning from lessons.
What you build. Yes. So we talked about women having very interesting relationship with money.
Yes.
And I'm wondering how you're embedding financial literacy in your programs.
So it's very, very, very complicated.
Yeah.
There's, however, one fact that is really important.
Yes.
Which is that the data indicates if you lend to a woman-owned businesses, chances are significantly high, or she's going to pay you back, right?
That's interesting.
That's a fact, right? The other fact, I did statistics in campus. I like data, right?
Yeah.
So the other fact that also is interesting in terms of your question is that women will not necessarily get the funding that they require to be able to, again, repay this funding. Almost the entire population is going to repay. So if you now look at why this is, it now comes back to your question, which is this complicated relationship we have with money.
Yes.
By the time a woman sometimes walks into a financial institution, she really, 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 really wants to be absolutely ready, to be able to make sure that this funding is going to be repaid. Because for a lot of women, their enterprise is really what is holding down the domestic circle, So there's that work that also needed to be done in terms of how ready do you feel you must be before you go ask for credit, right? So you find sometimes women, they may not necessarily be accessing this or going for this at rates that they could. And then the second thing that is also important is that when it comes to financial literacy, it's also something that I'm glad it's being taught in schools right now. It's not something that is readily available to both men and women.
True.
In terms of how do you keep a set of books?
Yeah.
How do you do a budget?
Yes.
What's a household budget versus
a business
budget?
Yes.
How do you balance the fact that I have a medical emergency or school fees to be paid, and this is my business money, right? And then now, this is where also gender comes in, If school fees needs to be paid, and you're the mother, I think those are two considerations that are also going to have to be made, like if it's, a woman who has a child and a woman who doesn't have a child. So all this to say, for financial literacy, it's really trying to see how do we lean in on some of the sociocultural norms that really prevent women from being able to be as financially literate as they can. And to answer your question, how we do this, I'm getting there. So how we do this is that the KCB Bank in Kenya has a really fantastic program. It's called Biashara Club. And what Biashara Club does is that it brings together women business owners in all their shapes and forms to come together to really learn from each other. So peer kind of like learning. They also bring together experts to really advance this financial knowledge. For Tujiajiri, what we do is that we provide financial literacy boot camps, coaching, mentorship through business development support providers. Our curriculum is based on the International Labour Organization Start and Improve Your Own Businesses. And this is something that we do to almost all the MSMEs that we partner with into Tujiajiri. Yes.
Okay. Sounds solid. Now, we've talked about literacy, access, we've talked about mindset, but, and I think it all comes down to giving people the tools that work in their actual context. I want us to talk about something that is often overlooked when you talk about innovation, agriculture. Yes. So you have a program called Mifugo ni Mali.
Yes.
And it's changing lives. Talk to me about Mifugo ni Mali.
Thank you. So Mifugo ni Mali, as the name says, it's our livestock program. And by livestock, we start with the bee, the fish, all the way to the camel and the cow. Right? So it's literally all livestock that you can think of. And what we wanted to do was to see, can we use the opportunity of supporting farmers, especially farmers in arid, semi-arid land, so the ASALs, to be more productive. So that is the overview, the overall summary of what the Mifugo ni Mali program hopes to do. And we do this through working with farmers in terms of the various ways that Tujiajiri supports. So some of it is training in terms of maybe technical training, phytosanitary standards. How do you keep your production facility sanitary in ways that allows you to now have that sticker that you need for selling your product. Some of it is financial literacy or business readiness. We also work with them as well as KCB Kenya in terms of being sometimes defraying some of the financing that they require to be able to do value addition, because the more people move from basic production to value addition, then the healthier their finances will be. We also do some foundational work like market development, because we know unless you also invest in this infrastructure, sometimes you're not going to be able to have farmers being able to leverage on even the opportunities that are available. So helping to create markets so that farmers can bring their goods there, like for instance what you do every year for Kimalel in Baringo. And then also working really importantly with KCB Kenya to make sure that these farmers that we have been able to provide some sort of financial readiness for are able to access finance.
So Mendi, we've talked about land, we've talked about food and also livelihoods. But I want to talk about something that I know you're deeply passionate about, climate justice. Yes.
There's no plan B. This is it. This is the only planet that we have.
Right.
And as long as, consumption patterns, our relationship with water, land, air continues as it is, then I don't think we're going to be in very good shape. And one of the things that I'm really gratified about working for KCB is that as a climate forward organization, there's really that clarity in terms of the work that we do. At the very least, it should not do no harm. But beyond that we really should also be advancing climate justice, climate action in the work that we do. So some of the things that I am really proud about, even in the work that we do in Tujiajiri, is being able to support, be it entrepreneurs or enterprises that either want to become more climate aware. So I want to build in some sort of sustainability practice in my work, or those green MSMEs, so people who have that very clear climate agenda in their work, so things like e-mobility, or people who want to do some sort of circular economy work. So those are the projects that when I go out, my heart sings in terms of supporting them. And then the other part that is also very interesting is that, again, our workforce readiness program, what I am deeply intrigued and excited by is the ability to also create opportunities for young people to take on classes or courses that really advance climate justice. Because for me, there is a really intriguing thought and question. What if we looked at, so the green transition, so we have to move towards greener energy, greener ways of producing, and so on and so forth. What if we looked at this in terms of the opportunity it presents, right? The government of Kenya has said we plant 15 billion trees. That is an opportunity for people to really create significant employment opportunities. So for me, the idea of either workforce readiness and MSMEs all advancing climate justice is something that I'm deeply intrigued by, and something that I'm really hoping we're able to get jobs, we're also able to get income from this climate agenda.
One of the things that I really think about is the fact that the people who are affected most by climate change are the people who least contribute to it. And it's so unfair.
It is.
And that's why, like, when you're at a place of privilege in some way, you have to do whatever it is you must do to at least care. But what does it mean to you personally, climate justice? Away from the foundation.
So away from the foundation, for me, climate justice is that what you said. I think that's it in a nutshell. The folks who contribute the least are really disproportionately affected. Climate justice is also very gendered. Women get the short end of the stick when it comes to climate justice in any iteration you look at, right? And it's also a conversation that really needs to be held and has needed to be held on a global stage, because these are things that play out globally. A lot of the, can I say, the ills that have been seen are not necessarily from Kenya. Does 0.01 of emissions globally. Africa again has a backache because of what it has been doing to carry the climate action agenda on its back. We emit minimally. We sequestrate carbon exceptionally well through our low carbon practices, as well as also through our carbon sequestration activities. However, drought, famine, locusts, it sounds like, biblical stories. That is our lot. So for me, what I am very heartened by is that we have these climate activists who are really coming up to really shape that agenda and try and make sure. So things like climate finance, that it flows towards so Kenya and other countries like that, to make sure that these ills of climate change, that is also being mitigated by. It is still woefully short of what is needed. There are people who are talking about climate reparations. There are people who are talking about loss and damage. I'm glad in the last COP that was realized. So, there's been loss and damage because of climate change. There needs to be some sort of funding that goes towards infrastructure or other kind of like losses attributable to climate change. There's also other people who are talking about this big thing that is really important. Allow me to table it, ecocide, right? The idea that if you harm the planet, it is actually something that should be considered as a crime against humanity. Right? So I think what these climate activists are doing in this space are really going, I feel, towards now what your question was, which is that we are harming this planet as a species. We cannot continue doing it. The people who are doing it most really need, number one, to stop. And they also need to really start making some sort of reparatory or some sort of compensatory work towards the ills they have committed and towards the communities worst affected. So it's playing out. It's not necessarily going as well as it could for Africa. But I think in these things, what do they say about eating an elephant? It's one bite at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you've often linked climate justice to gender and women. And why do you think it's important to include women and the youth in that conversation when it comes to finding solutions? Why is it important?
So it's really important because women, as you say, are disproportionately affected.
Yes.
If right now, because of climate change, the rains come early, late, or not at all, it means that if I'm looking for water, assuming I don't have a tap in my house, I have to go farther.
I am the
get
one
said water,
on my back.
On your back.
Yes.
Again,
or your
there's
head.
that back. There's that back.
Yes.
Or if it's firewood or some sort of cooking fuel, I have to go that much further to get that firewood. Or even what unfortunately happens like during drought. So you'll find like some of the things that were really troubling is that whenever there's a drought, sometimes you'll find a resurgence of practices like young girls being married off earlier to really try and see how do you play in that space of there's a drought and there's only so many people you can take care of. So it's not a victimless activity.
Yeah.
So if you don't involve the very people who are most impacted, then the solutions you come up with are not necessarily targeted or aimed at resolving how these people are deeply impacted.
Yes.
So you risk you risk creating tokenistic or very kind of like surface level solutions that don't go to the root cause of how these people are deeply impacted. So it's really, really important. Young people,
Yes.
women, indigenous communities, right?
Yes.
There are people who must be central in these climate change conversations.
That's true. We have to go to where they are.
Absolutely.
And that's why sometimes I'm like, it's not about the presentation and the fancy slide that you have talking of what's the action, what are we doing on ground.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Now, I know that no one builds alone, and I want to find out, what does an ideal partnership for the foundation look like? Yeah.
So an ideal partnership, and I'm so glad that I can have this conversation based on reality. It's not a hypothetical.
Yes.
So be it us as a partner or other people as partners, it has to be grounded in we all are aligned on vision.
Right.
Yeah. So people who want really good things for the population that you want to work with.
Yes.
For us, be it a funding partner or a county partner or whatever it is, the best partnerships are people who do not want small things for Kenyan people. Yeah. Just go be that little thing and then we'll go clap for ourselves and we say, we are successful, we've done a good program. No.
Yes.
It is people who have deep and ambitious desires to make sure that the women of Kenya, the youth of Kenya, are being able to live deeply meaningful as well as prosperous lives. So people who rally around a common vision, that it is okay to have good things as Africans.
It is.
Yeah.
It is okay.
It is okay.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder why we feel like we need permission to enjoy good things. Yeah.
That the incremental is, sure, incremental is okay. But people who believe in that transformative ambition for the young people of Kenya. I think for me, those make the best partners when you rally around a common vision.
Yes.
And when you rally about a vision that is big and bold and beautiful, those are the partners that I'm telling you, you go far with them. Because there'll be there'll be many times when you find obstacles, but again, you're rallying around a common vision. You want good things. Yeah. You
big
want
things.
Big things. Yeah.
Bold and beautiful things.
It's not, when I speak to my colleagues in KCB Kenya, they talk about, we want to fund women. It's not, okay, we'll give, it is 250 billion Kenya shillings.
Yes.
That is what we're going to give to the women-owned enterprises in Kenya.
Yes, Flame.
Those Flame.
Yes.
Those are the partners that allow you to go far, 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 far.
Yes.
And when you're blessed with those partnerships, I have found that you typically will be able to do work that is not only wide but also deep. Yeah.
I think that's something I'm going to take with me, that it's okay to have big, bold, beautiful dreams. Yeah. All right. Now, you've built your career around talking about systems change. But I want to know, you've done it on your own way. What kind of legacy do you think you're building? Or do you even care about legacy?
Yes.
Okay.
Deeply. And allow me to reflect on your question just in two ways.
Yeah.
The first is, the older I get, the more I realize that legacy is something that we perhaps need to be a little bit, more realistic about.
Right.
Yeah. Not too many people get to have, can I say, their stories told beyond maybe one generation.
True.
As a species, we are not very, we don't have that kind of like long multi-generational memory.
Yeah.
So I think there's that realistic thing that I've tried to do when I think about legacy.
Yes.
And I know that is a bit existential. So let me now come to a bit more of the practical.
Yes.
So when I think of the practical part, I think for me, legacy is in, number one, creating spaces for other people to be able to step in without you. Yeah. To leave things better than you found them.
Yeah.
And when you've been privileged, because I consider myself deeply privileged to right now be working for KCB Foundation. When you've been privileged to have the opportunity to be in an organization that has been, 128 years old,
Yes.
has almost universal reach in Kenya, in the East and Central Africa region. For me, legacy also means having impact that is aligned to the current organization you're in, being able to align to that scale and be able to reach as many people as possible. But ultimately, it goes back to the people that we have been privileged to work for. If out of the, I don't know, 100,000, million people that we've been able to support, if people's lives before and after have been transformed and they're able to really reach into what full citizenship is, you're able to have decent work, you're able to access decent health. For me, that is legacy. It lives on in the ability of people to attain their citizenship, raha na ustawi. Yeah, for me, that is legacy. And
I'm sure there's one thing that you're so proud of that you've achieved. Tell us about it.
So for Tujiajiri, just the singular one.
Yeah, just one thing that you are so proud of.
So I think I'm proudest of perhaps the ambition for Tujiajiri. I think, let me say for KCB Foundation.
Okay.
In terms of the unwillingness to settle for the incremental. Yeah. I think for me, that, and having that as something that the foundation basically also rallies around in terms of, I was going to say throw a stone, but please don't throw a stone.
No.
If you go to the foundation and you pull out anyone in terms of what do you think we should do, be it for our scholars program to Tujiajiri across the various forms, the fact that it is not about, let's make sure a farmer is able to earn 2,000 bob a month, right? That it is significantly more than that. For me, I am deeply proud of that aspirational desire to do good things, for our guys, and to dream big, for Kenya.
Yeah. And well done.
Thank you.
Well done. You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
I've been looking at the KCB Foundation work as I was preparing for this interview, and I'm like, yes, this is real stuff. It's impact. And it has been so fantastic having you. Thank you so much for coming to Hawaii. Before you leave,
yes,
I am going to put you on the spot.
Yes.
I'm going to say some words.
Okay.
And you're going to tell me what comes to mind when you hear them.
Okay.
Okay, so we go?
Yes.
Impact.
Scale.
Legacy.
People.
Community.
Hours.
Power.
Women.
Home.
Comfort.
And hope.
Possible.
I love that.
Thank you.
I love that. Hope is possible.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mendi.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure being here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come back again.
Thank you. I will. Yes.
All right.